Okay, hello everybody. Hope you're all doing well. I'm back. Yo, there's gonna be a bit of a catch-up session again. I just keep losing these files. I have like 40 memory cards for the business, and yeah, I use the memory cards to record this, and then sometimes they obviously have rugby games in them and stuff, and then I end up deleting the rugby games because not even the rugby games, all files on this because I need it for the next week and da, 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 back to what we were going to go to. So yeah, we basically went over understanding God's influence on and appreciating what He's done for us, understanding that like things that we put our self-worth to should never be a thing over God. And yeah, the whole purpose of life, and it's becoming more apparent to me because like I just came up. Oh, I went online church. I haven't slept. I was looking at my videos for you guys, especially the shorts, and they've all got thumbnails. Sorry, they all got thumbnails, and I was just like the bags in my eyes just look like they're getting worse and worse. And I was like, last night I got home from work at about 8, 9. I was just like, just go sleep, like don't go play games, don't go do what you go do the work stuff that you said you wanted to do. I just felt that like just go sleep. I yeah, for me sleep is it is self-inflicted, but it is something that I ignore. I don't think you guys should also do what I do. I do end up going to bed. I'll go to bed at 1 or 2, and then up at like 6, 7, and then move on with my life. And sure, it's fine short term, but it's long term. It's not a good solution. And yeah, so those bags under my eyes, I was like, yo, better let's just go sleep. I ended up missing the church service today, but I did go online, and we are trying a new church service. So we, yeah, because we're a team, we struggle to get to morning services just because of things that need to be done, so to say. So we try an evening service, and we're trying one today with my partner's friend. So he recommended we go to the one that he goes to because they have night services. So we'll see how that goes. But as I was explaining to her, and I'll just say it again, just so you guys know what I'm saying, what I'm on, is that trying a new service doesn't scratch out the fact that you still need to go to church. That's how I see it. So, like today, I'm cool. I'm trying a new service. It's being fed from somewhere different, but that means you still need to get fed from where you've planted your roots, and that's why I went online. Like, I can barely walk, so I felt that there was no use me going. I can't walk 200 meters to go into the church. My foot is just getting worse. So we'll see what happens with it. But yeah, so did that, and ironically, it was a message that I just felt we probably needed more than anything. Just speaking about the valleys that we go through as Christians, as people, as through life, all these different struggles that you'll go through, understanding how temporary they are, understanding that God at the end of the day, it will always come. It's not that God hates you, it's not that God wants this terrible thing on you. It's literally a thing of, it's life. He can use it to make you stronger. He can use it for another purpose. It can be somebody else's message. It could be things that we don't even think about. Might be the reason we go through these kind of struggles. But at the end of the day, there's a reason for it, and we need to identify that, like, it's a test, and we must hang on to God. If you don't hang on to God, it just, layman's terms, you fail. But yeah, so yeah, I just felt that spoke a lot to me. We also did communion, so I'm lucky in the sense of I always kept grape juice in my fridge just in case I ever have to do communion. And nice thing is I had that and the cracker, so lucky me. That's why I'm gonna have to go buy a new one now. But it's nice just to have that just in case. You never know. Like, I always prepare for these, like, very, how would I say, Like, they're very unlikely to happen, but on the off chance they do happen, I'll be prepared. That's me. So, um, so yeah, today we just doing a bit of a redo session, like I said. So Genesis 12, 1 to 9, and then we're going Genesis 17, 1 to 8. So we're going to hit two birds with one stone in that one, and that's supposed to be for today. So I'm not doing 2 days in one go right now. It's literally, those are the two things we need to read. So I'm going to go through them. You can read along with me if you want to. If you think I'm reading slow, read your own thing, and we'll take it from there. So, God promises a nation to Abram. So we did go over this a bit earlier, but obviously you didn't hear. But Abram's story is quite interesting. I enjoy it quite a bit. Just listening to, you'll see now, but like just obeying God. It's something so simple, yet we all sit and we make it more difficult than it is. So let's go for it. The call of Abram. The Lord said to Abram, "Leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. I'll make you into a great nation. I'll bless you and make you famous. You will be a blessing to others. I'll bless all those who bless you and curse those who treat you with contempt. All the families on earth will be blessed through you." So Abram departed as the Lord had instructed, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all his wealth, his livestock, and all the people he had taken into his household at Haran, and headed for the land of Canaan. When they arrived in Canaan, Abram traveled through the land as far as Shechem. Shechem. There we go. There he set up a camp beside the oak of Moreh. At the time, the area was inhabited by Canaanites. Then the Lord appeared to Abraham and said, "I will give this land to your descendants." And Abraham built an altar there and dedicated it to the Lord, who had appeared to him. After that, Abraham traveled south and set up camp on the hill country with Bethel to the west and Ai to the east. There he built another altar and decided to dedicated it to the Lord, and he worshipped the Lord. Then Abram continued traveling south by stages toward Negev. Okay, so that's 12 and 17. 1 to 8. Okay. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, "I am El Shaddai, God Almighty. Serve me faithfully and live a blameless life. I will make a covenant with you by which I will guarantee to you to give you countless descendants." At this, Abram fell face down to the ground. Then God said to him, "This is my covenant with you. I'll make you a father of a multitude of nations. What's more, I am changing your name. It will no longer be Abram. Instead, you'll be called Abraham, for you will be the forefather of many nations. I will make you extremely fruitful. Your descendants will become many nations, and kings will be among them. I will confirm my covenant with you and your descendants after you from generation to generation. This is an everlasting covenant. I will always be your God and your God of descendants after you. And I will give the entire land of Canaan, where you now live as a foreigner, to you and your descendants. It will be their possession forever, and I will be their God." Okay, so like we said here, it's very interesting. First thing it's always interesting hearing is how old people used to live to. I mean, right now what's an average life now? If you 75, you're done. Like, you're in an old age home, very likely a retirement home. I know some cultures are a bit different, but that person very seldom is leaving and doing their own thing. We do have a couple guys in the gym, ironically, that are close to that age, and they're still training, they're still doing their own thing, and it's great. But yeah, the age there, I mean, 99 years old, and you are still building a nation, you're still having kids, you're still doing this. It's very interesting. Like, for now, if you passed for male, if you 35, 40, the chances really just start dropping unless you're taking some external stuff, which they obviously didn't have back then. So yeah, interesting to see just the age thing there. But yeah, literally the altars, something we need to look at as well. What do we have as our representation of our is it covenant with God, our promise with God, reminding us of that we godly beings, that we are this, that we're that. Like we don't have things like that just lying around anymore. I know people might wear a cross, or people might have something in their car, but there's nothing that's there for others to see. And that's what I think these altars actually come for, is that it's not just a sign of what he's doing for you, but it's a sign to others of what you are doing for him, you know. So like I think I said this in another episode because I just watched it, or half of it. I don't know where the whole first part is. But literally, my sister does house sitting occasionally, and there's a guy at the gym. He's a colleague. I didn't even know he was like very rooted in Christianity. I didn't know he was actually quite popular on social platforms. But literally, he actually has a room where it's literally a prayer room, and it's kind of like this little altar. I think it's got its oils, it's got its candles, it's got its cross and everything. And my sister basically called me and she's like, "Did you know this guy like has this kind of stuff?" And I was like, "No," like, you know, when you sit and you're confused, like he never struck me as that kind of person. But yeah, literally he's old school Afrikaans and they're very religious, and it's so like he didn't deny anything. Not that you can, but like, you know, when you say it with your chest, and that's what he did. And it was, you kind of sit there and you're like, that's cool, man. Like, yeah, I wish although I do say I wish, but definitely can find something that I could do to replicate that. I just don't have the rooms. That man's got a nice house. Okay, so let's go over what the lessons are. Let's read our thoughts and ideas about it. So, when God called him, Abraham moved out in faith from Ur to Haran, and finally to Canaan. God then established a covenant with Abraham, telling him that he would be found a great nation. Not only would this nation be blessed, God said, but the other nations of the earth would be blessed through Abraham's descendants. The people of Israel, the nation that will come from Abram, were to follow God and influence those with whom they come in contact. But the greatest blessing of all is that through Abraham's family tree, Jesus Christ was born to save humanity. Through Christ, people can have a personal relationship with God and be blessed beyond measure. And that's something that I think I lack in a lot, and I think a lot of you would as well. I think when we do this thing where we attend, we watch, we do whatever we need to get the word of God in, and then that's your quota done. And unfortunately, it's not unfortunate, but it's unfortunate for you to hear that that's not where we draw the line. There's a relationship that needs to be established, it needs to be maintained, and it needs to be looked after. At the end of the day, everyone sits, and I have so many people that I know that I go to church and that's it. That they're fine with that. And I'm like, that's not it. Church is very nice. It's a very useful tool. It gives you fellowship. It gives you a message from someone who understands the word of God. It gives you something where there's unity and community around what you believe in. But it doesn't just end there. It doesn't end at all. You would never go to a wedding and just say I do, and then once that's done, you go do your own thing. We've now made a commitment to each other. We are now going to put the effort in beyond what is recognized in just normal relationships or normal friendships. We now have effort that we both have to put in that is required just to maintain everything. And then if we go above and beyond that, then wow, then we're in a good then we've got good footing. And that's what I see here, is that people want to just read their Bible once. They want to do what I'm doing. Even I'll be the first to admit I'm not perfect with this stuff. I'll do this, and then occasionally I'll go home. I won't go home. I'm home already, but I'll just sit and I'll do my own thing, and then maybe I'll speak to God every now and again. But like, yeah, even I sat down the other day and I recognized it. I was like, I actually don't sit and I don't speak to God. I don't thank Him enough for what's going on. I don't thank Him for my situations. I don't go, God, can you help me with these things? No, for me, this stuff feels so like positive. It feels like I'm making leeway in my relationship with God. But then I'm missing the easy things. And yeah, I think that's what we all need to do as people, is stop missing those things. Put in the effort. At the end of the day, like we said, whatever life you think you're living here, it is 80 to 100 years if you're lucky. Eternity is much longer. It's a fraction. It's a decimal place in what we have if we go into the right places with God. So, second part, 12 verse 2. God promises to bless Abram and to make him famous, but God has one condition. Abram had to do what God wanted him to do. This meant leaving his home and his friends and traveling to a new land where God promised to build a great nation from Abram's family. Abram obeyed, walking away from his home for God's promise of even greater blessings in the future. God may be trying to lead you to a place of a greater service and usefulness for Him. Don't let the comfort and security of your present position make you miss out on great opportunities God has for you. That is important, guys. I think we have this thing of just being happy where we are, and being comfortability is, if you just look at it in the general terms, is, for me especially, it causes regression. That's the easiest way to say it. Because when you're going up, and if I just go like that, you're going up, you're always looking to do more, you're always looking to be better, you're putting in the effort to go up this, let's call it just this graph. As soon as you regress, you're then accepting where you're at. And sure, there are definitely times where you should be able to accept where you're at. But the problem is that people like to accept where they're at and then convince themselves that if you got away with putting in this much effort, maybe you can take something away because it's just a little bit inconvenient, and like you wanna make time for something else, and that's where that starts. Then that happens. Then you go, oh, but I didn't do this, and like things got better. Things are still the same. So maybe if I just don't do this, and then I can put the effort into here, and we'll still be good. And then you go further down, further down, further down. One thing a pastor spoke to me about when I started this, when I was about 18, because I did Bible thing with him. I was always thanked the pastors when I was younger. Definitely good mentors. Definitely good people that although I went to do my own thing for 10 years, I always thought about the things that they told me and things that they taught me. And the one thing he explains to me is about relationships and things like that, where it's this infinite loop of how people are with God. And essentially, you start very well, you get everything going very nicely, you're happy, you're on fire, everything's coming your way. Then you start to stagnate, and things are okay, and you're not looking too much into it. Then they regress, like with me in my 10 years, and then they shoot back up. Easiest way to describe it for me is my life. For now, that spiral can be a different size for everyone. I had 2-3 years where I literally did everything I could to make God happy, went down, started not doing everything, stopped going to church, living my own life, making other people happy, and then met my new partner, started to tell me, let's go to church, started going to church, and the spiral went back up. Everyone's loop is different. Everyone's journey is different, and at the end of the day, we need to understand that that's a thing, but also once you're aware of that loop, always try and make that loop as small as possible. That's what I always think. I always think that to myself, and it's something that gets me through even today's stuff. Is like as soon as I stop doing it, I'm like, that loop is gonna get bigger. You better not entertain this more. You better not stop doing this, because that loop is gonna get too big, and we end up in the same position we were 10 years ago. And although comfortable, it wasn't right. And that's something I even think we are in relationships. I think 80% of people of today's time, they stay with the person that gives them so many issues, the person that they're not really happy with, because they're comfortable. They're happy that they've got that other person. They're happy that things are given to them that they won't get from other people. They're happy that there's a bit more intimacy in a relationship with somebody rather than having nobody, and understanding that, I don't know, work on yourself, have a relationship with God, do other things that will provide you with that intimacy. But yeah, people stay comfortable, and it's very unfortunate. I mean, you look at the divorce rate now, it's what's like 50%, 54%, so something so sad. Because you're comfortable until you're not, and when you're not, that's when it goes wrong. And yeah, I always say in the beginning of a relationship, and I've said this to a couple people, because they tell me, Josh, like I'm speaking to this person, and like it's so good, they're enjoying these things, but they like there's a couple things about them that they're like, no, I don't like that. And I'm like, if you have to choose, is the person with that person worth that behavior to you? And if your first thought is probably not, then leave it, because you'll accept it until it's too late to get out of that thing, or until your commitments have gotten bigger. You've got a kid, you've got a place together, you've got something of shared interest and value, and all of a sudden you're calling it because you're sick and tired of it, and then that's when things go south, because now you can't get out of it. So yeah. Yeah, so there. You have to. That's why love is a choice. God's given us free will to choose who we love, and to choose if you want to love Him as well. And that's something we're going to touch on in another thing. Is that there's free will. God doesn't control everything. If God controlled everything, you wouldn't have love. You wouldn't have all these other emotions that come with empathy, with action, with anything of that sort, because then it's just a robotic action, so automated response. Now, God had planned to develop a nation of people He would call His own. He called Abram from the pagan, self-centered city of Ur to a fertile region called Canaan, where a God-centered moral nation could be established. Though small in dimension, the land Canaan was the focal point for most of the history of Israel, as well as the rise of Christianity. This small land given to one man, Abram, has had a tremendous impact on the world history. That is so cool, I think. And that is what we call. It's not. It's a thing of one small action today can impact so many other actions that happen in the world. You can be an absolute, I'm just going to go wrong words for this kind of channel, but you can be somebody that's so sick, so sour to other people, and you can be rude to somebody, and they to the point where they'll go, oh, I'm just going to be the same as somebody else, and they do the same, and they do the same, and they do the same. Your one rude action can affect people 10 people down the line that you probably don't even know of. And that's the thing with actions. They all have consequences. Some might not come directly to you, but they do affect the world in a different way. And we always forget that. If I'm, who cares if I'm rude? Like, these guys must just do X, Y, and Z, or they must get over it, and yada, yada, yada. But then if they do what you do to other people, and then they do what they did to them, to other people, we end up with a world where everyone just hates everyone. That's why, even with me, and I see it with other people, is always treat people like, you must choose those people that, like, you must watch how people are with with people who serve. And if you can see how they are to them, you get a good idea of their character. Because, yeah, it doesn't take effort to go, thank you so much, how was your day? Like, get invested, tell them, like, I hope you have a good day, man. And be nice to those people that people would see as below them. Because if they treat those people like rubbish, I can promise you right now, it speaks a lot more about them than anything else. But yeah, like I said, like it shows here, one action led to essentially the whole establishment, or not establishment, but the whole thing of Christianity was built on one action. Altars were used in many religions, but for God's people, altars were more than places of sacrifice. For them, altars symbolized communion with God and commemorated notable encounters with Him. Built of rough stones on earth, altars often remained placed for years as continual reminders of God's protection and promises. Abraham regularly built altars to God for two reasons: for prayer and worship, and for reminders of God's promise to bless him. Abraham couldn't survive spiritually without regularly renewing his love for and loyalty for God. Building altars helped Abraham remember that God was the center of his life. Regular worship. So let's just go. Abraham couldn't survive spiritually without regularly renewing his love and loyalty to God. Building altars helped Abraham remember that God was the center of his life. Regular worship helps us remember what God desires and motivates us to obey Him. That's where I said these things are very important, where you have something just to remind you of God's promise to you. You would know that more than anyone else. God would tell you these things. I feel, sure, not all of us will have this gift of discernment, but I always think that when you have a relationship with God, it's so easy to understand your life purpose. And there are church courses to help you if you do struggle with that kind of stuff. For me, it came very easy because I always had something on my heart, and going to church, I just sat and I thought about it, understood what was being said, and I paid attention to what was being said in the service, and it just clicked, and I was just like, that is it. I need to do that. I need to help people. That is what I wanted to do. So, like I said, your altars can be anything. It doesn't need to be some big fancy wall, some big statue. It can be something small as a cross on your neck. It can be something small in your car that you see it every day. But if I were you, I'd get something just to serve those two purposes in your life. My camera's going to die again, so I'm going to pause it there, and then we'll do the second thing. No. Okay, so we're back. So if we go into 17, so if we could do the first thing, the Lord told Abram, I'm El Shaddai, God Almighty. Serve me faithfully and live a blameless life. God has the same message for us today. We are to obey the Lord in every respect because He is God. That reason is enough. If you don't think the benefits of obedience are worth it, consider who God is, the only one who with the power and the ability to meet your every need. I think we mentioned it earlier, is that a lot of the time we don't want to sacrifice these little things that may have a significant importance. Some of them just provide us with comfortability. Some of them provide us with just an escape to what we have already, and sometimes that needs to be sacrificed in order to reach another stage in your life, or to reach a new chapter, or to have success in whatever God's plan is for you. And we like to hold on to the little we have, because, as I always say, you got to risk something to get something. The world isn't built on things just coming and being positive. You have to give something up. In business world, we always say risking. I wouldn't say it's risking here, but you have to give something of value from yourself, especially for God, in order to receive what you're asking for, or to progress in his plan for you. That will be the best one. Just because you ask for it from God doesn't mean that it's your right to get it. Everyone can ask for anything, and yeah, like it says, God is the only one with power and ability to meet your every need. So yeah, that's just how I think of it. If it's a need, or if I need something from God, I'll always ask. And I don't know, I always have this guilt thing of like, God, I'm sorry, like this is what I need this. Can you help me out? But if it's not part of the plan, that's entirely understandable. Maybe I have to go through something. Maybe I have to have a lesson. Maybe I have to focus on other things, not even the thing I'm asking for, and that's why it's not being met. So there's many ways that you can always see this. The thing I deal with most right now is obviously my foot. It is very frustrating, very depressing for me, because I'm someone who grew up with training, grew up with playing sport, grew up with all these things. I went through a rough patch and I stopped doing that. And ever since then, every couple of weeks, couple of months, we'll call it, they say gout as well. So gout is now also a thing in my life at my young age. But it leads to all these other problems with my foot, and I'm just unable to walk. And it sometimes can last for a couple of days. Sometimes it lasts for a couple of weeks. And recently it's lasted months, and it's like, it sucks. Like, it really sucks. I have a partner who trains and does all these things, and I look at it and I go, well, I'd like to do that with you, or it'll be fun if we do these things together. And she wants to do that too. But I'm sitting in the state of, I can't commit to anything because I don't know if I'll be able to walk on that day. And it's one of the most frustrating things, and I ask for help and all these other things. And sometimes it just feels like it falls on deaf ears. And like I always say, it's probably just a plan. It's probably, I need to learn something. I need to understand something. Maybe, like I said, my focus shouldn't even be on trying to do all this exercise, try to do all these fancy things, pay for these events, pay for this. Maybe my focus is to build a stable life, something that I don't really have. And that's what I need to work on. Maybe my diet also needs to be better. Maybe there's other health things that I need to address, instead of just focusing on doing something that gives me pleasure while doing it, and very likely while after doing it. This doesn't mean that I'm not training at all. I can definitely train. Like, it's a foot. I can do things with my upper body, do things with my legs. But yeah, so we all have our different struggles and things that we feel aren't being met. And that's why I always say, just look at maybe what's not, it's not always the direct cause of the problem that is the issue. Maybe there's another problem you need to look at. And once that gets sorted out, then other things get sorted out. Then, why did God repeat his covenant to Abram? Twice before he mentioned this agreement. Here, however, God was bringing into focus and preparing to carry it out. He revealed to Abram several specific points of this covenant. 1, God would give Abram many descendants. 2, many nations descended from him. 3, God will maintain his covenant with Abram's descendants. And 4, God would give Abram's descendants the land of Canaan. It's amazing how much he got here. And listen, Abram wasn't just like Abram when he started, wasn't just someone who didn't listen to God, did his own thing and did anything he wanted to. It states very clearly in the beginning of the story that he was good with God. He listened to God. He did what he said. God then asked him to do something bigger than what he was doing before, we'll say. And once that happened, he had a better promise. He had a better reward for everything that he did. And like we said, the story of Abraham is very vital. It says it here. It causes everything or a lot of what happens in Israel. It helps with the birth of Jesus, from my understanding, if I read it correctly. There's so much that happened from just one person migrating. And that's all that it required was him. Although we say that's all, it's easy to look in hindsight that that's all. For if you ask me to move to anywhere in the world, I'm going to go like, geez, I have everything I have that relates to what I can do is here. If I had to move anywhere else, I've got nothing. I've got no money. I've got no equipment to do my skills. I have nothing. What do you do then? And yeah, that's why I say it's not. It sounds easy in hindsight, but when you look, and that's the thing. It's the beauty of hindsight. You can always look back. So maybe, just maybe, that maybe God is asking you to sacrifice something because the reward is so much better than what you're giving up. And it says it here. In the word it says it. That what you sacrifice is way less than what you're going to get out of it. And that's what we need to look at. Stop looking at these short-term, these temporary solutions and feel-good moments. Look at what you're building. Look at what you're getting to. Look at what you're getting out of it. I mean, yeah. That's why even here, this for me, although not the best example, but this is like having these talks, doing this is a short form of sacrifice. And for me, like I said very clearly, I've stated what I want out of it in the beginning. If I can get one person to listen and go, that's actually a different way to see it, I like that, then I've done my job. And for me, that is so much bigger than me just giving up 30 minutes, 40 minutes a day. So that's something that we all need to identify. Look at the end goal rather than focusing on the short term. But yeah, we're going to go through Abram, I think, for the next couple of days. So if you're familiar with the stories, it'll be good. I always say if you've got a different perspective, you've got a different idea, maybe even got a different thought process as to what certain things entail, by all means, let me know. I'm also here to learn. I'm not this all-knowing person. I'm not, like I always say, not a registered pastor, not a qualified specialist in anything from philosophy or anything biblical. So yeah, I'll just tell you what it's read here, the questions that are asked. I'll tell you how it is in my life. And like I say, if I've made those mistakes, it's cool to tell you guys how it worked out for me, and maybe you don't make the same mistakes. So yeah, you guys must have a good day, and we'll see you soon.